Hi, my name is Chris. Welcome to my channel. Okay, today we're going to be doing Leetcode algorithm number 8, string to integer, Atoi. So this is ranked as a medium algorithm. We're going to implement the myToy string s function, which converts a string to a 32-bit signed integer. The algorithm for myToy string s is as follows. White space. Ignore any leading white space. Signedness. Determine the sign by checking if the character is minus or plus, assuming positivity if neither is present. Conversion. Read the integer by skipping leading zeros until a non-digit character is encountered or the end of the string is reached. If no digits were read, then the result is 0. Rounding. If the integer is out of the 32-bit signed integer range, -2 to the power of 31, or 2 to the power of 31 minus 1, then round the integer to remain in the range. Specifically, integers less than -2 to the power of 31 should be rounded to -2 to the power of 31, and integers greater than 2 to the power of 31 minus 1 should be rounded to the power of 31 minus 1. Okay, so all that's saying is if we're out of the 32-bit range, we just return, if it's under, we return the minimum number that is the minimum 32-bit number, and if it's above, we return the maximum 32-bit number. So it's a real long-winded way of just saying that. Okay, so here's some examples. So input s equals 42, output is just going to be 42. That's a very simple case. Step 1, no characters read because there's no leading white space, so we don't have to worry about the white space. There's no minus or plus, so you just convert 42 to a number and you're all set. For example 2, we have -042. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get rid of all this white space in front. Then we're going to have to account for the negative character, and then we need to convert this to 42, not 042, but just 42, and then change it into a negative, right? Third example here is, this is saying there's no white space in front of it, there's no negative or positive character, but we do see this letter happening here at index 4. So we cut the end of this off and we just return 1337. Next two examples, basically, we're just going to return 0, right? Because there's nothing in front of it, but then it gets this dash, and that's not a number, so it stops, so we just return 0. Then finally, this will return 0 as well, because there's a letter that comes before the first number. So the first thing we need to see can either be plus, minus, or a number. Otherwise, we return 0. Okay, so that's the explanation. So let's go over to CodePen. I like to do all my algorithms there. I do already have some variables set up, so we don't have to take time to type that. I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call it func. And start, we're just going to return s. Oh, and of course, whoopsie, don't want to do that. We've got a console.log func. All right, now we should see 42. Cool. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is, I'm just going to copy some of this stuff because this is long code. First thing we're going to do is create an array variable. And actually, no, I should be typing this out so everybody can see what's happening here. So first thing we're going to do is we trim the white space off of S, and that doesn't matter for this variable because there is no white space, so let's use this one. Yep. So that's gets rid of any leading or trailing white space, and then we split it so that we have an array. Wonderful. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a variable called create a variable called posneg. And this is going to store whether or not this is a positive number or whether this is a negative number. And we're going to set it as default to pos, right? Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a quick else if statement. And we're going to say if array at the index of 0 equals negative sign, pos neg equals neg. Else if array at index 0 equals a plus sign, we'll say pos neg equals pos. So in this case, we should be seeing, we're going to console.log a bunch of things moving forward here. So there's our array. Now we should see pos neg is neg. And there you go. Okay. And then it did say if neither is present, you assume that it's positive. So it could be possible that you could see something like this, right? And that just assumes that it's positive. That's why we said it's a default of pos. But that also is going to cause a little bit of a problem for our logic coming up here. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to loop through this array, right? And sometimes at this point, you're going to see a number at index 0. Sometimes you're going to see a negative sign. Sometimes you're going to see a positive sign. Sometimes you're going to see a letter, right? So what we need to do is we need to, right here, here, we're going to create a variable called index. Okay, we're going to set it to 0. Notice I use the let word. And so here, if this, because we're about to loop through this array here, and we're going to use a for loop, and we're going to start, normally you start at 0, right? So here, since at 0 you have this negative sign or this positive sign, what we need to do is increment the index by 1, and I'll show you what I'm doing with this in a second here. So now, when I set up my for loop, I'm going to say let I not equal 0, but I'm going to say index. And then we can say I is less than array.length, then I plus plus. Okay? So, what that does for us is, if we console.log array I, array I, now you should see 0, 4, 2. Right. So it skips that negative. And then you're going to get the same result if I get rid of this negative. 0, 4, 2 again. Perfect. All right, so now that's not going to be a problem for us. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test for letters, right? So we're going to put an if statement here. It says if, and I'm going to use a regex here. If A through Z and capital A through Z. So that's basically all uppercase and lowercase letters of the alphabet. Dot test array I and I equals 0, return 0. Okay, so that's accounting for something like this, right? So I'll comment this one out, and we'll go to words and 987. Now we should get 0. Beautiful. All right, and so then after that, we're going to basically look for numbers, right? So we're going to do another if-else statement. We're going to say if use regex again, and we're going to target all of the numbers 0 through 9 dot test array I. So if this is true, right? No, I forgot to mention that too. If that, this is kind of saying if that's true, right? If that's true, well, what do we want to do? We want to result array. Oh, I forgot to create that. So we've got to create this result array. Okay. Yeah, so this is what we're going to push all the numbers into, right? So then result array dot push array I, right? What is that? Oh, I'm going to make it an array. There you go. Still getting 0 because we're on this one. Let's go back up to here. Yep. And now we're going to add result array. And you should see 042. Very good. All right. And so there is a problem with this, though, because if we come up to, let's comment this out and let's uncomment this. Right. So now remember, for this example here, right, once you see a letter, it stops. So it should be 1337. Here we're getting all of that, right? Well, so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a very simple else here. And we're just going to say break. And now this will break out of the loop. Okay? See, we have 1337. Okay, so we're in pretty good shape here. So the next thing we need to do is we need to convert this into a number. We need to convert this into a number and also determine if it's positive or negative, right? This is pos, but just for the sake of displaying this, we're going to go back to here. So we have a negative number. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable called result. Say const result equals pos neg, we use a ternary operator here, equals pos, then result is going to be, and this is us converting it to a number, result array dot join, and then we're going to say else. So if posneg is neg, number result array dot join, and then we're going to say times 1. Oh, sorry, not 1, but -1. Okay. So let's go down here and just return result. There you go, -42. Okay. And then if I'm going to take this off, right. All right, so this should work for all of, we should be all straight for all these examples. We'll just check it really quickly here. So this should be 1337. Good. This should be 0. Good. This should be 0. Very good. This should be 1. Good. All right, so now this I already know is wrong. Okay, this one here, you'll see in a second here why. So this is higher than, lower than the lowest point for a 32-bit integer. So what we need to do is, if our result is lower than that, we need to return the limit for a 32-bit integer. If it's higher than the limit, you need to turn the top limit. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if result is less than, and I'm just going to copy and paste this number because it is a big number and I could very easily make a typo. So we're going to return whatever that number is there. That's the low limit, right? And then we're also going to say if result is greater than, that, just return that. And again, this is the upper limit for the 32-bit integer. And then if it's within range, we just return result. Yep, so because it's lower, you're getting that. Let's say hypothetically this was positive. Should get the other one. Yep, and then all of the other things should still be working as we demonstrated earlier. Yep, everything's cool. Fantastic. So I think we're good. Let me just take a quick peek here. Yep. Let's copy this. Oops. Let's copy all the logic inside the function. We're going to copy all of it. And then we're going to go back over to Leetcode, and we're going to paste it in. Oop, did I grab an extra? I think I did. I think you got to get rid of this. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now let's run the code. Cool. Passed it all the test case. Looks like we're good so far. Now let's submit it. Fantastic. And look at that. 1 millisecond beats 89.4%. So that's a pretty good solution. All right. Well, thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more like these, please like and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy your day.